Hi, everybody. My name is Elder Armitage, and this is Sister Armitage, and we are missionaries for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and we are currently serving in the Budapest mission. And we have been living here in a little silly city called Sopron. And today we have the honor and privilege to be hearing from Elder and Sister Ottley. Now, Elder and Sister Ottley served, I believe, three missions and two service missions. And so we'll let them talk about those missions and what they did on those missions. And so, for those that have the desire to serve or want to know a little bit more about the various types of mission, hopefully this will help you out. So, welcome, Elder and Sister Otley. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
We sent you some questions, but we would like to just let you talk about your missions. You've served five, and we would just love to hear your experiences in those missions and what led you to serving those particular missions, if you had requested, or just some of the different day-to-day activities.
Sister Otley, well, I don't know if you're still Sister Otley or Charlie. Do you want to start by telling a little bit about us?
Well, we have 9 children. We've been married 56 years, and we have 27 grandchildren and 11 great-grandchildren. And we moved here to Kennewick from Utah 46 years ago. So we came for 2 years and we're still here.
It's a great place to raise a family.
So, and then we started, well, the kids all left and we started serving missions as soon as we retired. So, our first mission was in England, and we were MLS and YSA. And
what do those stand for?
Member Leaders Services
Support.
and young single adults. So,
of course, it's not called that on the internet anymore, but that's what people refer to it as.
So we were called as YSA. That was our mission call. But there was four couples that went out at the same time to England, all YSA.
Same mission.
Oh, wow.
So the mission president made a few little changes. We just worked with the Welling ward. And so during the day we went out and visited all of the inactives in that ward, and to find if they were still there or if they had moved away. And I think we moved 200 records out of that ward.
Wow.
That we found were gone. So, but we visited everyone. We got in every home except for one. And we went back and we went back and we went back, and they never answered. And of course, they have to buzz you in. And so we didn't get that one. And then at nights, we would work with the YSA. So we were very busy. We had a little, what was it called then? GPS.
Oh, yeah.
And we put the whole ward in it, and we could see where everybody lived. And so we would plan our day, and we would go out to visit someone. And if they weren't home, we would just look for a dot and go there and just work around. Your turn.
Well, for those members that may be thinking about serving a YSA mission, what's some of the things that you guys did in the YSA?
You cook a lot.
Yeah, you cook a lot. We because it was just the ward, we didn't have to teach lessons or anything, but like we had a pumpkin carving contest, and none of them had ever carved a pumpkin. And we couldn't even find pumpkins. We had to use some kind of a melon that we carved. But they loved that for Halloween. And then we put donuts on a string and tried to eat those. And we had a good time.
Just introduce things that you've learned over the years with your family or with Mutual or whatever. Because of television, I'm sure you found out Europeans are pretty familiar with much of our culture, but not everything. And so it's strange. The food is always fun to introduce new food to them. What was it? Cream and tartar that was hard to find in London to make snickerdoodles with. But and root beer can be hard to find. Different things like that. And of course, most Europeans think root beer tastes like medicine anyway. So you introduce some foods to them, just fun things. It's just like working with your own kids or board here. You just meet them where they're at and try to get them involved and get some good youth leaders to move them along and do firesides and go with them places and just have fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great. So then after England, what did you do next?
Well, we sold our home to go to England. We wanted to change houses. It was time to downsize a little bit, and so we'd sold our home and so when we got home, we thought, well, we're already homeless. We might as well go on another mission. We did spend a year in between England and Denmark. When we went to England, we just, I call it, threw our hat in the ring. We didn't have any requests or preferences or anything. But England was hard for Sister Ottley.
It was cold.
Well, there was, it was out of your comfort zone. You spend all day long knocking on doors and talking to strangers, and it was a lot of work. I loved it. Well, we both loved it, but it was more my cup of tea. And so on our second mission, she had mentioned just in passing in the comment section that doing scanning sounded fun.
Well, it sounded interesting. I didn't even think about doing it.
We met a couple in England that when we went to do work on our genealogy and stuff, that we'd met a couple doing that, and so she just mentioned it, and I think one of the things that maybe people understand, maybe they don't, and of course the mission application process has changed over the years, but there's really two needs that have to come together. I guess three. The church's needs and the missionary couple's needs. And so the church expresses their needs on the application form, as you see the priority and the finance and the health requirements and all those things. And then the couple expresses their needs or desires or their wants as they fill out the application. Then those two have to come together with an apostle making an assignment. And so everything you put on that form can trigger thoughts of that apostle making the assignment of meeting your desires and the church's needs together. And so I think that not a lot of people request scanning. And so when she'd mentioned that, and there was need for scanners at the time, that's where we went. And so we were fortunate to go back to Europe and go to Denmark, which is very close to England in a lot of cultural things, but but of course, language and other things make it different. The in between the two missions where we were homeless, we took our turn taking care of Charlene's father. He was well, how old was he when he passed? 90,
I don't remember.
93.
94.
And so we worked, went to Utah and lived with him and took our turn and well, I forget the logistics. We entered the MTC.
He passed away, and we had his funeral on Saturday, and we entered the MTC for Denmark on Monday.
So that took care of the year between. Denmark, we had the language situation, and most of the people, especially in Copenhagen, the adults all speak English, but you have to pass a Danish test to stay beyond the 6-month time, and that proved a little bit of a challenge for us, but we got through that, and had a great time there. Some people might think that sitting at a camera taking pictures all day long would be boring. But I think one of the things that people need to understand is that all senior missions are spiritual missions. We saw miracles, we felt the Spirit, and we had a great time. One of the big differences between England and Denmark was at England, basically we had no time off but what we took. There was something to do from, time you got up to the time you went to bed. Unless we took time off, we were working. But in Denmark, we had basically an 8 to 5 job. And so we had weekends and evenings off. And we took advantage of that and did a lot of traveling. We had senior bus train passes, and there was another scanning couple and an office couple that we became very close with, and just had fun. I think another thing in talking about fun that's important for couples to understand is that they're not going to be isolated from their family, with emails and Zooms and phone calls and stuff like that, and families visiting. We had a 1.5 bedroom apartment most of the time in Denmark. In London, what did we have? I can't remember.
We had 2
bedroom. But even if you just have 1 bedroom, there's blow-up mattresses you put on the floor, and our kids, most of our kids visited London or Denmark and spent a few days with us.
At least 5 of the 9.
The daughter that kind of had her honeymoon there before she was married. Her and her husband came to Denmark before they were married, and then came home, and we came home a few months later, and as soon as we got home, they were married. Don't think that you're going to be that isolated from your family. There's a lot of family opportunities. But that took us to Denmark. Then when we came home from Denmark, we had the privilege of working with who happened to be the mission president in Kennewick at the time, with his son in England. And so we had him come to our house for dinner, and that got us he brought his parents, and that put us in contact with his parents, and we ended up being called as a service missionary working with them. And that was fun.
Doing housing. He had muscles then.
Yeah. Well, after we called.
Yeah.
I think that the preference of the church would be for people that could to go on full-time missions, to serve out in the parts of the world where there's not as much members strength. But sometimes you can't. In our situation, we probably could have at that time, but because of this connection, we were called on the service mission, and that worked out great. I think it'd be tough to try to be a full-time missionary and live with your family, around your family. But a service mission is pretty doable, and still do all your family and other assignments. And we enjoyed it. It was work, but it was fun. Then I'm not really sure all the details of how it came about, but our mission president's wife had some connection with the Marshalese, and we had some Marshalese immigrants here in the Tri-Cities that had joined the church, and the mission president assigned a couple of elders to the Marshalese. They had not been through Marshalese MTC, but they learned the language and started baptizing people, and there was a need for a senior couple to support them. So did we have some time off between housing and Marshalese? I can't remember.
A few months.
So we became the Marshalese couple. Again, there was the language situation. They spoke a little bit of English. It varied from person to person. You go to priests that are sitting still, and you're sitting there, the topic, and you mind your own business, and then they say, "Well, Brother Ottley, what do you think about that?" And you have to kind of shoot from the hip. And it was easier for me than for Sister Ottley, but we enjoyed that, and we saw a lot of success there, and we're still good friends with the Marshalese. One of our close couples even named their son after us. So we have a kid in the Tri-Cities now with Ottley as a first name. So that was a good experience. And I don't know that we were ever officially released from that mission.
We worked for 3.5 years.
Wow.
And then we put our papers in. She wanted to move again. So I said, well, if we're going to be homeless again, we might as well go on another mission. I think that we saved a lot of money on missions. And one of the reasons is because we sold our home. It's cheap to live on a mission. As we compared our expenses with other missionaries, the biggest difference was probably not owning a home. And the second was eating out. We didn't eat out as much as some of the couples. And that seemed to be the big variability in the missions we had between costs. But we wanted to serve a family search mission, kind of selfishly, not kind of, but totally selfishly, to better learn the system. And we knew there was a need there from looking at the computer. And so we applied for that, and we had to put other choices in there. And so our second choice was to be senior missionary coordinator, and we had no idea what that was, but we became that. We didn't get our first choice; we got our second choice, and the Lord's in charge, and that was good for us. I think that was what we needed. The job description was that theoretically you had served several missions, so you kind of knew what took place in missions, and you had significant ecclesiastical experience. So I'd been a bishop and a stake president, and so I think when they saw that as our second choice and saw our qualifications, that was kind of a no-brainer that we weren't going to get family family search. But we enjoyed it. I think that all senior couples enter with certain strengths and weaknesses, and that you adjust the mission to your personality. Um, Sister Ottley is good at the computer, and she ran spreadsheets, and I like to talk. And so I talked to the missionaries and the mission presidents and the stake presidents, and we were helpers for what's called pre-fill, between your call and the MTC. We did the visa delays, the health delays. Missionaries want to go earlier. The mission president doesn't have housing right now, wants them to come later. Somebody's gone home early and he needs them to come early. Anytime there was a change, we did the change. So she had a spreadsheet for visas and travel and delays and family emergencies and all the different categories. And then we would just put in the spreadsheet when the next action was needed and what the action was, and we just follow through and get them back in the field and back on track as soon as we can. So that worked out great for our skills. But I think any couple that has got the testimony to go on a mission has got the skills to make any mission work for them. I think too often senior couples set too many rules on what they need to do and what they can't do. And we found that you just do what has to be done based on what you can do. And don't get too hung up on little constraints that you put on yourself.
It all works out.
Yeah.
The Lord's in charge.
Yeah. And some people might say, oh, that's, boring to sit at a desk all day long and solve people's problems. But we enjoyed it. We felt the spirit, and like visa waiters that have some choice as to whether to go ahead and go to the MTC now and take a chance or whether to postpone. Work with them and help them do what's best for them, and tell them, that the stories that we heard of miracles that happened in people's lives when they were on delay, and how things worked out and how that was what was meant to be. And so, the Lord's in charge. It's His work, and we just kind of help move it along. So that kind of describes our missions.
I love that. I love that you did such a wide variety. You got a little bit of experience in a lot of different things, and you've given a lot of really good advice. But if you, like, we do have people who are watching who are either senior missionaries or planning to go on a mission. Would you give them any advice other than what you've already given?
Sister Ottley?
No, it's just a great experience, and it gets even better when you get home. You forget the hard times and you just remember the good. You learn a lot of, you meet a lot of people, and they become family. We worked with wonderful doctors and nurses and that in Salt Lake, and everywhere. We learned to love the missionaries.
And we're still in contact with people that we worked with. We had the privilege of being in Denmark on our second mission when a couple from our first mission went to Temple, and we got area presidency approval to go to London to the Temple with them. What a treat! And that couldn't have happened if we wouldn't have been in Denmark at the time that they went to the Temple. So it works out. And people shouldn't be afraid to call Salt Lake. In our group there in Salt Lake, we had a couple with some assistants that were in charge of missionaries filling applications. And then a couple of couples that took care of helping with the arrangements between when you fill out your application, when you get your call. And then we took care of them after that. And then once you're in the field, you have the in-field representatives that take care of situations. So there's always somebody that's in charge of that part of the process you're in. And so couples shouldn't be afraid of they're on the internet and they don't understand something, to call the number and talk to the senior couples that will answer the phone and answer their questions and help them fill out the process. Often, the missionary couple, by the time you filled out the application, you knew more about the process than your stake president, and certainly than your bishop. So they might have some advice spiritually, but they don't understand the process, to be real honest. They don't understand the process. But the senior couples in Salt Lake that are running those systems, they know the process, and they can answer the question and help you on the way, and help you get going. One of the things that came up as we were preparing for this was the thought of what to take with you. Don't pay a lot of attention to what the mission call says to bring with you, because it's very generic. If you're going to London and it says bring a first aid kit, ignore it.
I think there was 20 first aid kits
in the
one of the
apartment.
apartments.
Yeah, they've been left by previous couples. There's plenty of Band-Aids for sale in London. Don't waste your luggage space on a first aid kit. They sell clothes there. They sell whatever you need. And if you don't, Amazon delivers in London. What was it? We happened to be mentioning we were at a couple's house and happened to mention Biscuit, and that it wasn't available there. And we didn't even know what Biscuit was. And the next thing we knew, when we went there for our next appointment, there was a box of Biscuit that they had ordered on Amazon and shipped to us. So yeah, don't worry too much. Now, if you're going to Africa or something, that's different. But most places.
Well, we guess we haven't been there.
Yeah, maybe that's next.
We so appreciate you talking to us. It's just been a pleasure to hear about your missions. This is our first one, and we plan on going on. And so we hope that we are like you one day, where we can look back at our several missions and all the great memories.
Yeah, it's a blessing to you, to the church, to the Lord, and to your family. Your family is blessed by it.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, that's great. Yeah, you've given a lot of great information, and I know a lot of viewers have had a lot of questions answered. And so we do appreciate that, and I'm sure they do too. We get comments all the time, people asking us, what about this or what about that? And so I know you've answered a lot of questions, and so that's awesome. We appreciate that.
Well, if anybody has any questions, they want to talk about anything, I don't know if there's a way on your post for people to get a hold of us, but we'd love to answer people's questions.
Okay, we'll take you up on it. Thank you so much. We appreciate
All right.
it.
Well, I do want to take this second and close with our testimony. The church is true.
Absolutely. Yes.
We love the Lord. We love the work. Missions bless lots of lives. Mr. Ottley?
Yeah, I say
Amen.
amen to all that.
Well, that's fantastic. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. Well, you have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.